You know that feeling when the day is just a collection of glowing rectangles? The endless ping of notifications, the low, constant hum of the office, the blue light of the screen that seems to follow you home and erase the line between work and life, between being and doing. There are days I feel like I'm losing my own edges, my contours blurring into the functions I perform. You become a response time, a completed task, a name in an email chain, a ghost in the machine you helped to build. And then, in the middle of all that noise, a thought rises. It's not a scream, not a dramatic cry for escape. It's much quieter, more of a deep, inner knowing, a whisper that says, it's time. Time to find my own signal in all this static. Time to return to myself. That's when the ritual begins. It's my quiet rebellion, my first step back. It starts with the boots. Each buckle I fasten is a deliberate, grounding click, anchoring me back into my own body. Then, the weight of my jacket settling on my shoulders, it feels less like armor and more like a familiar, protective hug. As I slide my hands into my gloves, smoothing the leather over my fingers, I'm drawing a boundary. This space is mine. And finally, the helmet. The moment I lower the visor, the world changes. The sharp, demanding sounds of the city become a muffled, distant hum. The visual clutter is suddenly framed, focused. That soft click as the visor locks into place, it's the sound of symbolically disconnecting from their world to plug into my own. The key slides into the ignition, and that first turn, it's not just about starting an engine. In that moment, I'm not igniting a motor. I'm igniting an inner light that's been flickering for too long. The deep, steady thrum that vibrates up from the frame and into my bones isn't just the machine waking up. It's my own pulse, reminding me that I am here, solid, real. The road hasn't even begun, but I already feel myself coming home. You know that feeling when you finally close the laptop, but the screen stays burned into your mind? That's how the first few miles always feel. The click of the kickstand is a period at the end of a long sentence, but the story keeps running in my head. Even the deep, steady hum of the engine can't immediately drown out the buzzing inside. My head is a beehive of unfinished tasks, emails that need a reply, conversations replayed over and over, searching for a different outcome. It's a stubborn static that clings to you, a fine dust from the office that settles deep in your thoughts. But then, the road begins its quiet work. It doesn't argue, it doesn't command, it just is. It has this incredible patience. Slowly, stubbornly, the grip of the fluorescent-lit world starts to loosen. The ghost of my desk chair fades with every kilometer marker. At first, it's a battle. My mind tries to pull me back, to chew on some problem from 3 hours ago. But the road is a persistent teacher. And then, a tiny shift. A sliver of late afternoon sun catches the chrome of the fuel tank, a brilliant, warm stripe of gold. It's so simple, so real. Suddenly, that's all I see. It's more real than any deadline, more tangible than any digital chart. A few miles further, and the city's stale breath gives way. The air changes. There's a scent of freshly cut grass from a field, earthy and sweet. It cuts right through the sterile memory of air conditioning. In the roar of the wind, you sometimes hear the most important answers. And the first one is never some grand cosmic truth. It's always the simplest whisper, carried on the current. Tonight, it says, just breathe. It sounds almost trivial, doesn't it? We breathe all the time. But the road teaches you the art of it. You can't be mentally rewriting that report from yesterday while leaning into a curve. You can't be worrying about tomorrow's meeting when you're judging the distance to the car ahead. The road demands your presence. It forces you, gently but firmly, to be right here, in this very second, to feel the vibration through the handlebars, to notice the shift in the road's texture, to be completely and utterly present. And that lesson, the lesson of now, is probably the most valuable thing I bring back with me. The beehive finally goes quiet. The buzzing is replaced by the rhythm of the engine and my own breathing, finally in sync. You know that feeling, after the first few miles, when the hum of the engine finally smooths out the ragged edges of your thoughts? The day's noise, the deadlines, the emails, the endless chatter, it all just dissolves into the wind. It's not silence, not really. It's more like the world has found its proper rhythm again, and you've finally tuned into it. That's when the real conversation begins. It's not a conversation with my helmet, or even with the bike. It's with the road itself. Because after your mind goes quiet, you start to notice that the road isn't just a strip of asphalt you travel over. It starts to look back at you. It becomes a mirror, a perfect, honest reflection of everything happening inside. I remember cruising down a long, impossibly straight stretch of highway, cutting through the plains. The horizon was a clean line, the sky was vast, and my path was laid out before me for miles. And I felt it in my bones, that rare, beautiful sense of clarity. That's what those moments in life feel like, don't they? When you know exactly where you're going and why. There are no questions, no doubts, just a steady hand on the throttle and the calm assurance that you are on the right path. It's a feeling I'd almost forgotten, sitting in that office chair where every day felt like a labyrinth with no map. But out here, the road shows you that clarity is still possible. But then, the straightaways always end. The road begins to curve. You approach a bend, a gentle, sweeping turn that hides what's on the other side. My first instinct, the old office instinct, was always to tense up, to slow down to a crawl, to fear the unknown. But the bike teaches you a different way. You can't fight the curve, you have to flow with it. You lean in, trusting the angle, trusting the tires, trusting that the road will hold you. In that lean, there's a kind of surrender. It's a physical lesson in faith, a reminder that sometimes the only way forward is to trust the journey, even when you can't see the destination. It's a feeling of letting go, of allowing yourself to be guided. How many times in life do we resist a change simply because we can't see around the corner? The road whispers that it's okay. Just lean in. And that's when I realized, that's when the road taught me one of the most important things I've ever learned. You can't navigate a curve by staring at the pavement directly in front of your wheel. If you do that, you'll panic, you'll overcorrect, you'll lose your line. The secret, the magic, is to lift your eyes. You have to look through the turn to where you want to go. Your gaze must be fixed on the exit, on the point where the curve straightens out again. And like magic, the bike follows your gaze. It just goes there. I almost laughed out loud in my helmet the first time I truly understood it. All those years, I'd been trying to navigate my life by staring at my feet, staring at the immediate problem, the next spreadsheet, the tiny, overwhelming obstacle right in front of me. I never looked up. I never looked out at the horizon of my own life. This machine, this beautiful, simple machine, was retraining my very soul. It wasn't just carrying my body from one place to another. It was forcing me to lift my chin, to direct my gaze, and with it, my thoughts, my hopes, my entire being towards the future, towards where I truly want to be. The bike doesn't just take you down the road, it points you toward your own horizon. And in the roar of the wind, sometimes you hear the clearest directions of all. The road taught me one important thing. Sometimes the destination isn't a place on a map, but a state of mind. You feel the engine's vibration fade as you ease off the throttle, the deep hum of the journey mellowing into a gentle purr. The final click into neutral, the soft crunch of gravel as you plant your boot on the ground, and then you turn the key. Silence. But it's not empty. You know that feeling? When the constant roar of the wind and the engine you've lived with for hours suddenly vanishes, it's replaced by a silence so profound it almost has a sound of its own. a high, clear ringing in your ears, the last ghost of the speed you carried. For a moment, you just sit there, a statue on a steel horse overlooking a world that's been muted behind your visor. Then, the click of the latches. You lift the helmet, and it's like being born all over again. The world rushes in. The air, which was just a force to lean against, suddenly has a scent. It smells of warm earth, of wild thyme crushed somewhere nearby, of the promise of distant rain. The wind, no longer a roar, is a soft whisper that cools the sweat on your brow and rustles the tall grass by the roadside. And the sounds, oh, the sounds. The lazy buzz of a bee investigating a wildflower. The call of a bird, clear and sharp across the valley. The sound of your own breathing, slow and deep. The green of the valley below seems greener. The blue of the sky, deeper. Everything is amplified, vibrant, intensely present. It was in that moment, with the weight of the helmet gone and the world flooding my senses, that I understood. All that movement, all that forward momentum, the leaning into curves, the constant focus, it wasn't about escaping. It was a pilgrimage. All of it was necessary simply to earn this, to truly appreciate this single, perfect moment of stillness. We spend so much of our lives running. From the office chair, we run to meet deadlines, to catch up, to get ahead. We fill every second with noise, with notifications, with tasks. We're so afraid to stop, so terrified of what we might find if we're left alone with ourselves in the quiet. We fear the emptiness. But this isn't emptiness. This is fullness. It's in the silence after the wind that you finally hear the questions you've been asking all along. And sometimes, if you're patient enough, you can even hear the answers, whispered on the breeze. You know that feeling when the first city lights appear on the horizon? For a long time, they felt like the bars of a cage I was reluctantly returning to. But not tonight. Tonight, they look different, softer, like a distant, sleeping constellation welcoming me back. The return journey is a completely different kind of ride. It's no longer a desperate flight from something, but a calm, deliberate homecoming. My shoulders ache a little, my hands feel the echo of the engine's vibration, but it's a good kind of tired. It's the feeling of having carried something important and finally bringing it to a safe place. I'm bringing back this quietness, this sense of being whole. The road taught me one important thing. You don't have to outrun the noise of the world. You just have to find a silence inside you that's louder. Soon, I'll park. The engine's deep hum will fade into a click and a sigh of cooling metal. I'll go up to my apartment, turn on the lights, open my laptop. The emails and deadlines will still be there, but now there's an invisible shield between me and that rush. A shield woven from the memory of the wind, the scent of pine trees, and the long, empty road. The ride is over, but the journey is just beginning. I didn't just return home, I returned to myself.